Hello, welcome back to ACI Course 10. This is Class 8. We have a lot of mosquitoes here in South India, and I just used like three different types of mosquito spray because we wanted to leave the door open. But some of them smell really bad. So, excuse me, I'm choking a little bit. Um, um, and by coincidence, tonight's class is about mental afflictions and things that bother you, like mosquito spray. Oh my God, it smells so bad. I wish you guys were here just to enjoy it. Well, no, I don't wish you could enjoy the smell, but then you would know what I was talking about. Okay. Are you ready with the prayer? Um, Oh my God. See, it's karma. You try to put the mosquito spray on so that you don't get annoyed by the mosquitoes. Instead, you get annoyed by the mosquito spray.
Well, be glad you didn't grow up in the 60s when they sprayed DDT openly in the streets.
I am glad that I didn't grow up in the 60s. Thank you for the perspective. Oh
So,
God. I'm going to mute myself while I choke, and then you guys can do the mandala prayer. Jack will lead it. I will just do it silently. Okay, great. Be loud.
다시 굳기 조심에 도tra Rira Vingshi Niende Genpadi Sangye Shindu Mikte Upagi Jomu Namda Shimla Jupasho Iram Guru Rataman Yatayami.
Oh.
but the 60s was
Okay.
fun in a lot of other ways. Just wanted to say
Yes, I've heard.
that.
Oh my goodness. So sorry, everyone. So last week, was that last week? It was indeed last week. Last week we talked about, can you grab my hand in the room? Excuse me. Sorry. If you guys can give me 1 minute, I'm gonna just take care of something. I'll be right back. I'm so sorry. I just a little trouble breathing. Give me 1 minute. Okay. I had a friend, a very wonderful Dharma teacher. He's with another Sangha. I don't think any of you know him, that he was teaching a class and he's a doctor. And like halfway through the class, he's like, I gotta go. I'm having a medical emergency. And he had like a heart attack and had to have like a valve replaced or something. And he's young. He's my age. So anyway, life is fragile. Okay. Um, so last week, who wants to tell me what we talked about last week? Anyone? Lavinia?
The five wrong perspectives
Five, five mental afflictions, right?
and just perspective, wrong perspectives. Wrong views, wrong
Wrong views. Yeah, we talked about some wrong views. Does anyone remember what those wrong views are? Or what the kleshas were we talked about?
not believing karma and emptiness.
Yeah, like some of the worst ones was like not believing in karma and emptiness, not believing in past or future lives, and we talked about yeah, Jack's gonna share the screen. Wrong views, doubt, ignorant liking, ignorant disliking, pride. Yeah, and then we broke down the wrong views. Good. Okay. And then we talked about five like kind of extreme views, like thinking that harmful practices are the best. Extreme views like believing that if emptiness is true, then either nothing exists or everything exists. Okay, good. Thank you. It's good to review, before class. Then you remember better. Like if you do your homeworks, I don't care if you do your homework, frankly, but it forces you to review the class if you do your homework. So and then the quiz forces you to review a second time. So that's why there's homeworks with the ACI courses. And I know some teachers are like pretty strict and they don't allow their students to come back unless they turn in their homework. But I never did my homework, so I will not be a hypocrite. But at least it's good, to review and try to talk to your friends or something about what we study in the class before. Then you can keep it a little closer to your heart. Okay. So today, we're going to talk about more mental afflictions. Yay! So there's 20 secondary mental afflictions. There's actually 84,000 mental afflictions. There's like 5 main ones, and then there's 20 secondary, which basically they sprout off of the other ones. So without those 5, you wouldn't be able to get these 20. So we'll talk about those, and then towards the end of class, we'll talk about the 6 perfections. Okay. So the first secondary mental affliction, this, by the way, this is not like a hard philosophy class because we're just talking about negative feelings that all of us have. So you don't have to, it's not too thinky. It's more feely, I think. Okay, so the first one of the secondary mental afflictions is anger. Do you want to show that thing you made?
Just a big list.
That's okay. Then I remember the Tibetan. So for any of you who are interested in the Tibetan track, Jack made a list of these words in Tibetan. So the English is different than how I'm going to teach it, but at least you can see what the Tibetan is. So the first one is troa, which is anger. Yeah. So that's pretty obvious. I don't think I have to talk too much about anger. This refers to like the first blow up you have. Like they break down Master Shantideva and Gail Sabjay and Geshe Michael broke down many different types of anger. There's not just one anger. So this first one here is this anger refers to like I don't know what makes someone angry. What makes you angry, Jack?
Having to wait around for a long time.
Like having to wait around a long time and then really, I wonder where that comes from. And then and then you're waiting for your friend and you're gonna go to a concert. You spent all this money on the ticket and it's the last time you'll ever be able to see this band because they're about to break up and your friend makes you wait and wait and wait, and then you feel you're really annoyed, and then your friend shows up and you say something bad to them out of anger. So that's anger. We all know what anger is, I think. I hope there is someone on this call who does not know what anger is. That would be wonderful. Okay, the second one is the Tibetan is Konzin, say Konzin. So that's like keeping your anger. So holding on to it, like someone wronged you. I don't know. Someone wronged you when you were a kid, and you're still hanging on to it. Maybe there was like a girl at school who was mean to you. And then um you run into her 20 years later and you're still kind of angry about something she did to you. So that's keeping your anger for years. Or days is easier if you've ever had a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a spouse, then you definitely know what it's like to hold on to your anger for days. Unless you don't, in which case you should teach all of us about that miracle ability. Okay. The third one is tsikpa. Everybody say tsikpa. Okay, so tsikpa is sorry, Wilbur just walked in, so now I feel very happy. Tsikpa is irritation. Yes, hello. And then irritation is like pre-anger. It's that feeling where your heart gets just like a little bit tight. And then its job is done when you say something bad to the person who's irritating you. This one's like my specialty. I don't I don't get like extremely angry very often at all, but I would say I get irritated like pretty frequently. So it's just that feeling where like I'm sure no one can relate to this but me, but your chest just starts to feel a little bit tight, like the chest gets tight first, and then the breathing gets irregular, and then the heart starts to beat faster, and then the mind that gets interesting at this point. It's like it gets like a tunnel vision, like the vision gets very tight where you don't have any perspective on reality except for the wrong that you perceive in front of you. And then you get crazy and then you lose your temper. So if you can like stop any of those steps from happening, then you never proceed to the last step, which is, saying something inappropriate or being cruel to someone. Okay. The fourth one in Tibetan is Nampar Tsewa. Everybody say Nampar.
Number
Tsewa.
sewa.
Nampar Tsewa.
Number sewa.
I should have numbered these in English because I am going to lose track. Okay, 3, 4. Okay, so Geshe-la translated this as malice, which is like when you have a bad intention towards someone. So you make a decision to hurt someone. To be honest, I don't relate to this one very well. I don't know that most of us, if we're practicing Buddhist, can really relate to the malice thing so much. It would take quite a bit, I think, for probably anyone on this call to intentionally hurt someone. I think generally when we hurt people, it's accidental. Like you lose your temper and then you say something in a tone that hurts your friend's face, like their face looks like they're gonna cry, or you say something mean to them, but you're not meaning to hurt them. I don't think most people are on this call. I don't think most people are intentionally angry and hurtful. Obviously, in the world, there are many people like that. Okay. And then the next one is Trakdok. Everybody say Trakdok. So Trakdok is jealousy. So as a bodhisattva, especially, this one's really bad. Why is Trakdok especially bad?
Because as Bodhisattva was supposed to want that everyone is happy.
I don't think they can hear you.
Yes.
Yes. Can someone who's not in the room with me tell me? Oh, you can? Did you hear that, you guys? Sort of. Okay. Can someone on the call tell me why jealousy is especially bad? You can take that down for a minute. You guys are quiet tonight.
Because you are committed like to serve all living beings, and then it's like then you get mad when they get what they want.
Yeah, you just have been praying this whole time that like people can get exactly what they want, and then someone gets what you prayed for them, and then you're angry. It's very bizarre. They're incompatible. Like a desire, like bodhicitta and jealousy are completely incompatible and crazy. So let's move on from jealousy. Okay. Okay. So yeah, you're basically wanting people to give you things, and then you want to deprive other people of that thing. That's icky. Okay. Let's try to get rid of our jealousy. It's like a really, really bad one for a bodhisattva. Okay. The next one is insincerity or some sort of denial. So this is in particular that out of an attachment to gain, to like getting something for yourself or for people to respect you, you're unable to admit that you have any shortcomings or faults. And it particularly, like, specifically applies to spiritual things. And it blocks you from getting spiritual teachings. So you could go to the teaching, but if you can't admit that you have a problem with jealousy or anger, like if the teacher gets up and says, like, I get irritated too frequently, then, and you're like, well, I don't have that problem. And then I continue to talk for 10 minutes about how irritation is bad for your practice. You'll just space out and think about like the new episode of Bridgerton, which I watched last night. No, it was the first time I've watched TV, and I'm too busy, and I never get to sit down and watch TV anymore. But it was delightful, to be honest, to take an hour and watch something and just relax. But yeah, it's really bad for when you go to spiritual teachings. You have to learn, like in your spiritual life, to be a little ruthless with yourself about what your problems are and what your main kleshas are and what like, your minor ones are. And if you have a lama, the worst thing you can do, I'm just telling you from my experience, is to get a little arrogant, like to see a friend or not a friend, maybe you see someone someone you don't have like the best relationship with, and look at their faults and then say, oh, I'm so lucky I don't have that one. That's a very dangerous one if you have a lama, because your lama will, like if you're like, oh, I don't have jealousy, that's not really a thing I deal with. Your lama will then proceed to make you jealous like every day for the next 6 months. That was a personal experience of mine. So you can learn from my mistakes. So it's good, like even if, look, we all have the same kleshas, okay? If you're not an Arya, then we all have the same 84,000. Some of us are like left channel people, and some of us are right channel people. So some of us, we're more desire people. Like we go into a store and we want to buy everything. Or we go to a bakery and every cake looks like the best cake. Or we walk down the street and every guy or girl is like the hottest thing we've ever seen. Okay. If you're like that, you're left channel. Lucky you. You don't deal with anger as much because your overwhelming thing is desire. Okay. Because your prana is flowing left side. I think I'm backwards to you guys, so my left side is your right side, but it's flowing left side, okay? Um, if you're a right channel, which for me on this side of my body is right channel, you're an anger person, okay? You're more like you go to the store and you get overwhelmed because nothing in the store looks good to you. And maybe you're a person who hasn't had a lot of partners because no one looks good to you. Um, or you go to a restaurant to order some food and it's like, okay, but mainly you're annoyed with the waiter who took too long to take your order. So that's like a right channel person. So the right channel person can become a left channel person because the prana, it's just a shift of your prana. Like maybe you're doing a lot of yoga, and the prana shifts over to the attachment side or the desire side. Okay. And as a right channel person, I was always very jealous of the left channel people because anger is so gross and miserable that I thought, I'd love to be a left channel person for a day. Like, that sounds fun. I'd like all the cake. I'd like all the boys. I'd like all the clothes in the store. It would be so easy to go shopping. Um, and then for like a while, like maybe a year, I became a left channel person and it was horrible. And I was praying for the right channel, Ruby, to come back. And she did. And now I'm missing left channel, Ruby. But my point is we all have everything and we all have all the negative feelings. And it's just a movement of the prana or the movement of the mind that makes one klesha rise more than another klesha. So when we're going through this list and you're checking off which ones you have, try to not check off the ones you don't have because they're there, okay? And then if you're checking off and saying, "Oh, I don't have that one," you won't retain as much of the teaching. Okay. Can you turn off my sound, please? Thank you. Okay, the next klesha is it's like the opposite. It's pretending that you have good qualities that you don't have. So, I think as a teacher, like there's a danger in this, especially like you want your students to respect you, or you want more people to come to your class. Um, you feel like maybe it's more inspirational for students if you come off like you're perfect. Um, But it very clearly says in the text, that you should be very open about your faults. So when you start teaching, you should keep that in mind. And look, people are very perceptive, and you really can't fool anyone. And even if you can fool people for a short amount of time, um, it's short-lived. Okay, if you're like an addictive personality, but you're trying to pretend that you're not, eventually, like someone's gonna catch you in the back smoking a cigarette, okay? Or if you're trying to be all cool and laid back, like eventually you're gonna snap at someone who kept you waiting for too long, and people will find out your negative qualities anyway. So you might as well be upfront with people and honest about them, and then people can help you. And especially with your llama, and this, to be honest, it's something I struggled with for a long time because there's so many students around the teachers, and it almost feels like, well, if they knew how naughty I really was, they'd fire me as their student, or they wouldn't let me hang out anymore, and I have to pretend to be perfect. But it's insane because, like, if you picked a good one, they should be able to read your mind anyway, and they know what your problems are. But if you're hiding your problems or not admitting you have problems, this is important, so I'll slow down, then it's very difficult for them to reach you and help you. So, especially around our llamas, we should be like opening our heart and kind of opening our soul, which doesn't mean to constantly bother them with all your problems. I'm not saying that. Please don't do that. And don't start emailing your teachers every day about what a horrible person you are. I just mean that when you're in their presence, you should be available for them to help you. And that means being honest about the kind of person you are and about your problems. Okay. And all your teacher wants to do is help you anyway. So we shouldn't be afraid for them to see the things that we need help with. Okay. Okay. The next one is called a lack of shame. So this means that, like, I don't know, maybe you live in a house with 10 people, and I mean, this is a very small thing, but you live in a house with 10 people, and you're all vegan, and you all like to have soy milk in your tea in the morning, and there's only enough soy milk left for one person, and no one's ever going to know you took the last of the soy milk because there's 10 people who live in the house. And in fact, there's one guy who always takes the last of the soy milk. So he'll get blamed, and no one will ever find out it was you who was the asshole that morning. And you take the soy milk. That's having a lack of shame. Okay. So even though no one else is ever going to know you did it wrong, you did it wrong, and you don't care. So that's considered a mental affliction. The translators tonight are doing a lot of the hand mudras that I am, and it's like looking in a mirror, and it's both freaky and cool. So keep it up. I like it. Okay. Okay, the next one is can you bring up that slide? I want to check the translation here. Dun 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 dun. Which one are you on? Lack of shame. Okay, the next one is trailmepa. Everybody say trailmepa. Trailmepa. So this is lack of consideration. You can take it down for now. So lack of consideration is when you don't do something, when you do something and you don't care how it will affect other people's opinion of you or something like that. Okay, so the first one is you don't, I'm going to say it in the positive. It's easier to say it in the good way than to say it in the bad way. So you don't do something because you have a sense of shame for yourself. And then the second one is you do something not caring how it's going to affect other people. So the positive would be you don't do something out of consideration of how it would make other people feel. So the opposite is you do something and you don't care how the other people would feel. Like how they would feel about you doing it. Does anyone want to give an example of that?
Yelling at somebody in front of other people for no reason.
Yeah, Yulia said if you yell at someone in front of other people and you don't care what the other people think of you, you're screaming and you don't care that the other people, it's going to hurt the other people or that they're going to have a bad opinion of you or something. You do it anyway. Parents do that sometimes to their kids, and it's like it's painful. It's painful to see it, and it's painful to be the child, and I'm sure it is painful to be the parent doing it as well. Okay. Um, the next one, the next one is called hiding your faults. So this is similar to the one we did before. But the one we said before was in particular like pertaining to like your spiritual life. And this one is just your everyday life. Okay. So you want to cover up all your bad qualities rather than admit them and work on them. And if you hide them, then you'll be in denial and then you won't work on them. So they're closely related, but they're not exactly the same. Okay, the next one is stinginess, which is obvious. We know what stinginess means. It's being tight-fisted, not wanting to share what you have with other people. Always being the last person to like throw your money in at the end of the night or at the restaurant, or being the person who you pay for your meal, but you don't factor in the tip because you're too stingy to care that the poor waiter makes no money and you don't throw any money in for the tip. Okay. Or you go out with a group of people um and then you order the most expensive thing on the menu and then you say to everyone, let's split it like 4 ways. There's 4 of us here. But you ordered the most expensive thing on the menu, but you just want to split it 4 ways. So your friends have to pay for part of your expensive meal. So don't be that person. Uh I know people like that, and I don't go out to eat with them anymore. And then look, with stinginess, it's like natural in our world when you don't have a lot of money, to hold on to what little you do have because you're worried you can't feed your family or you won't be able to eat tomorrow. But what's very strange is sometimes it's the wealthiest people who are the stingiest and the poorest people who are the most generous. My little child that I take care of in Nepal, like was begging on the street and strangely would never take money from me, but was always giving me gifts. I mean, it was very strange. Like she lived in a shack, was effectively homeless, went hungry, and every time I saw her on the street, because I was kind to her, she would give me a gift. But her karma exploded because we raised thousands of dollars for her to send her to school and move her into a nice home. Uh, but she had nothing and she was so generous and thoughtful. So it doesn't always have to do with how much money you have or don't have. It's an attitude about what you do have. And I feel like stinginess, and maybe it's because I have other mental afflictions that are much bigger than stinginess. But I think that stinginess is sort of maybe a little easier for people to get over, because it's a muscle. Giving is a muscle. And so if you just give a little bit every day And then I think it's good to push the level of your discomfort. So you should never give to the point that you will regret what you give, but it should hurt a little bit. Like just a little bit. Like maybe you give 3% more than you're comfortable with. That's generally what I do, but I think I'm up to about 10% more than I'm naturally comfortable with. Um, and then your generosity muscle gets bigger. But if you don't make it a little tiny bit uncomfortable for yourself, then that muscle will just stay like small and weak. Okay. And then there's people who give what they don't have. And as a result of giving what they don't have, then they become a burden on other people. And that's like can be a popular occurrence in Dharma communities. So you shouldn't give what you don't have. Okay. Like everyone has something. And I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about your time. Like if you don't have money to give, okay, you probably have time because if you don't have money to give, I would assume, I mean, not necessarily, but it might mean you're not currently working. Um, and then you have time. You can give people your time. And it seems to me that people are usually either more generous, not always. Like Lee is both generous with her time and her money. I know that. Um, but most people will be generous with one or the other. So, whichever one you're currently feeling stingy with, you know, you could help someone asked you for help and you would normally be like, that's my time. That's me time. Just tell them you'll give them 20 minutes. 20 minutes of your time in a whole lifetime is really nothing, and you can give it, okay? Um, so it's good to look at the places in your life where you're feeling stingy and then try to grow it. And then on the other flip side, it's also important, if you're a person who gives your time very generously, to make sure that you're happily doing it and not getting grumpy, because then you're just making all sorts of bad karma. As you're being kind and generous, you're being kind of an asshole to the people around you because you feel resentful. So then I think it's also can be important to have some sort of boundary about your time. Okay, the next one is called it's being conceited. So this is being stuck up about your own spiritual qualities, like your yeah, gyakpa. So this is interesting because gyakpa also in Tibetan means fat, but here it means to be conceited. And kyakpa means poop, and kyakpa means ice. And that's why Tibetan pronunciation is important. And that's why if you're interested in Tibetan pronunciation, you can take classes with any of our graduates of the Overseas Study Program. And we have 3 women who just finished some very intensive study here and are not gyakpa about their Tibetan skills, but they have really good accents. One is in Finland. We have 2 in Romania, 1 in Mexico, 1 in Ukraine, and 2 Americans, and Taiwan. We have a couple of people from Taiwan with really good accents. So you can study Tibetan in your own language. You don't even need to study it in English. Okay, so you can write me or Jack, by the way, if you're interested in Tibetan classes. I think it would be nice for you guys. Okay, so this is conceited is to be stuck up about your own spiritual qualities, like, oh, I'm such a great meditator. I got to, level 4, I got to level 8 or something, or you know, what else is there to be conceited about? Oh, I really understand Madhyamika. I really understand emptiness so well. Really? Okay, are you an Arya? Because if not, you know, or what other kind of spiritual things can people be conceited about? The thing I see is like sometimes people are like, they finally have a consistent meditation practice after years of not having a consistent meditation practice, but then their ego gets big about it. And then they sort of get stuck up towards people who are struggling with a consistent meditation practice. So something is a little weird with you if you're getting conceited about your practice to help all beings. Yeah, someone said you could get like arrogant about your compassion. That would be really twisted. So Yulia's cracking up about that one. But it's possible. Okay, the next klesha is spiritual pride. Well, Nagyal. Yeah, Nagyal is like any kind of pride. So like having any kind of arrogance would be Nagyal. But yeah, this particular pride is this particular like conceitedness is it's not the same word as Nagyal. It's a different word, but it is in specifically exclusively about spiritual qualities. So not like pride in a job well done where you feel good about it or you feel good that you got to help some kid or you feel really good that you finished your novel. It's not that kind of pride. It's like, I'm a great meditator or like, and there's nothing wrong with being a great meditator. It's I'm a great meditator and everyone else sucks. Or I'm a great Dharma teacher, but those other people, maybe they should study more. It's that kind of spiritual pride, okay? Okay, the next one. The next one is called Lelo. That one's Lelo, right? I think, do you have Lelo?
I have Matepa.
Madepa, really for oh, right, we're not on Lelo yet. I was almost skipping on. Okay, the next one is Madepa. Everybody say Madepa. Yeah, good. Depa spelled differently means recitation. This, which would, if you mistranslated it, would mean lack of recitation, which I don't know how that's a klesha, but this one's Madepa, which means a lack of faith. So, like, you've studied things, you've proven things to yourself logically. Um, you found like an amazing llama and they're like reading your mind all the time and cool stuff is happening around them and your life is getting better and you're just like, like, I don't know about this Buddhism thing or I don't know about this karma thing. It's like a lack of faith about things that you've sort of already proven to yourself to be true, but probably out of pride or arrogance or fear, you just refuse to have faith in this thing. In particular, I've seen it happen around llamas, and it's generally, I don't know, I don't quite understand it. But it's generally like people who are very like independent minded and think they don't need a coach or a teacher for anything. And then they think they can do everything themselves and they think they don't need a teacher and then they refuse to put their faith in a lama or something like that. Okay, the next one is Lelo. It is Lelo, right? Yeah, the next one is Lelo. Everyone say Lelo. Lelo. This seems to be the one Tibetan word that like everyone can remember. Lelo. And it means laziness. I don't need to talk about that much. Oh, yeah, I keep saying that and then talking so much. So laziness is a lack of joy doing spiritual things. That's like the worst one. Like, your lama gives you a job to do, and you're like, want to I don't want to go have to look for 35 different types of toothpaste or which I told you guys like actually happened or you want the you want the milk in the glass bottle that has to be this many ounces, and I have to go like, how many grocery stores do I have to go to? Or, I'm sorry, how many people did you invite to your house, and how many dishes am I washing tonight? Or, these are personal stories, or like a lack of excitement about going to Dharma class, like, ugh, I have to go to class again. Or I have to take this stupid quiz, like I have to study, or man, I don't want to meditate. It's so boring. Okay. Or even like there's a lonely old person next to you, but there's like a football game on you'd rather watch. So you watch the football game instead of visiting your neighbor who you know is desperately lonely. Or you just spend like 6 hours instead of 1 hour watching Bridgerton. And that show is addictive. I could see how you could spend 6 hours watching Bridgerton. But 1 hour is like better, and then to turn it off is good. I'm proud of myself because I used to watch TV for 6 hours at a time, and now I'm pretty good about turning it off. Good for me. Okay. Um, but you meet people who like would rather just like play video games than like go help people. And helping people is really fun, and taking care of people is really fun. Okay. And like when you're generous with your time and when you go out of your way to help people, your heart feels open. So if you're stingy, or if you're feeling angry, or if you're feeling depressed, like the best thing you can do is go help other people, because it will get your mind off of yourself and your own problems. Okay. Um, and it will help you get over your laziness. All right. The next one is to not be mindful. In particular, this is like spiritually mindful, like about your vows or something. What do you think is the best way to lose your mindfulness about your vows?
Not to know them.
Yulia said not to know them, but it's something else. The easiest way to lose your mindfulness about your vows, which is coincidentally why we have another vow that you don't have to take, but many people have taken. I'm trying to give you a hint. I'll give you another hint. Imagine it's a beer bottle instead of water. Drinking alcohol. Okay, that's why there's a Buddhist vow. You don't have to take it, by the way, so don't like jump off the call because I'm saying that drinking beer will make you lose your mindfulness. But that's why people drink alcohol, actually. Like, that's literally why. And I really, please don't tell me you like the taste of red wine. I don't care. It makes you feel relaxed. It loosens up your mind, it loosens up your body, and it makes you lose track of the things that are more serious to you, like your vows. Okay. So that is the best way to not be spiritually mindful. But forget about the getting drunk thing. It's just being careless about your spiritual life. Okay. And I don't know, I think another way to be careless about your spiritual life is to spend a lot of time with people who don't have the same kind of practice as you. So, the people around us tend to wear off on us. And like if people are constantly gossiping around you, then like probably you'll forget that gossiping is like a waste of your time and toxic to your mind and hurtful to the people you're gossiping about, okay? Or if you're with people who lie a lot, you'll start lying, or if you're with stingy people, you'll start being more stingy. So I think it can be really good to be around Sangha. or at least to be around people with a very strong morality that helps you to be spiritually mindful. And it's great in like a Dharma community where people are really like, they're keeping their 6 times book and they're trying to do a practice. And you say something like critical of someone else, and they kind of just look at you like, hmm. They look at you like you're an alien a little bit, or they look at you like, oh, you're saying that person's an asshole? So you're saying you're the asshole, really? And that's a great way. When you start getting those looks, you'll be much more mindful of what comes out of your mouth. Okay. I hope the translators are accurately translating my bad words. Okay. I use them specifically when I need them. Okay. The next one is these ones now are just about being distracted. We've moved on from anger and the other really bad ones. Um, well, I mean, these are bad too, but they're bad in a different way. So the next one is forgetting yourself or losing focus about a virtuous thing you are going to do. So, like the most common is you are going to sit down, you're meditating, but you forget your object. And then you just like move on to another object because you forgot your original object. Or like, I don't know, I get this one a lot because I live in a place where there's a lot of need. There's like endless need. And, I have a plan to help this person or give money to that person or help with this project. And, I get distracted. Like I'm trying to go help this person, but then I get distracted by this person who also has a great need. And then I forget that I promised to help the first person. Okay, so we want to try to stay focused. Okay, the next one is not being aware. Do you want to put up the Tibetan for that? They can see it. Oh, okay. I know, but I can't read it.
Okay.
Oh, Shesha Mayimba. Which one are we on?
Seven.
No, I don't have the numbers. What's the English?
Lack of awareness.
Oh, forget. Oh, no, we did that one. Yeah, this is like losing your mental watchdog. Like this is very similar to the one before, but you're meditating and then you're so far off the object that you don't even, it's not that you forgot the object. You've just lost the object. And not only have you lost the object of meditation, but you're so far off the object that you're not even aware you lost the object. Like the other day, I sat down to count to 100 as one of my meditation preliminaries, and I think I was at 117 before I realized I was only supposed to go to 100 because I was so distracted, and it took till like 117 for my watchfulness to kick in. Okay. Okay, the next one. And you'll notice the way I'm explaining them is different than the translation, but they mean the same thing. Okay, the next one is dullness. Everybody say mukba. Mukba. So this is a dullness of your body or a fogginess of your mind. So this is in particular like a fogginess that you brought on by yourself. Like you didn't get enough sleep the night before, or you ate a bunch of, you ate a bunch of cupcakes. I've moved from pizza to cupcakes, you guys. You ate a bunch of cupcakes and then you tried to sit down to meditate, but your mind is like super foggy. I do get this. If I eat sugar, like a lot of sugar the night before, then if I wake up and try to meditate, I know for a fact my mind will just be super foggy and a little spacey, and so that's one of our secondary mental afflictions. Okay, then the next one is called mental distraction. So this is in particular towards a pleasant object. And this comes from wanting something ignorantly during meditation. So you're sitting down to meditate and oh yeah, that's fine. 16 and can you put 16 and tell her 16 and 17? She lost the connection and can't see it. Um, you have a date coming up with like a cute guy or a cute girl, and for an inexplicable reason, you decide to sit down and meditate before, but all you're doing is thinking about the guy and how excited you are to see him and what you're gonna wear and what you're gonna go, where you're gonna go. So that would be like distraction towards the pleasant object in meditation. Okay. And then the last one is called mental scattering. And this again is during during meditation. But in your regular life, it's just being unable to focus because your mind is scattered. You know, you have too many things on your mind. You agreed to do too many Dharma projects and you can't get anything done because as soon as you sit down to do one thing, your phone is going off with someone reminding you that you missed a deadline, that you owe them something else. Okay. So that's mental scattering. Oh, and I wanted to say one more thing about dullness. So I did my last retreat was like a long retreat. It was like a year and a half ago. I did a month and long retreats are great. And actually, in our part of the world, I say a long retreat. In our part of the world, when you go to a lama and you're like, oh, can I have a blessing? I'm doing retreat. And they're like, oh, lo sum. Lo sum means 3 years. And you're like, no, no, dawa cheek. I'm just doing 1 month. And they're like, oh, it's a short one. Why are you coming to me for a blessing for such a short retreat? Uh, but for us Westerners, a month is difficult and long and very powerful, actually. And one thing that I learned from my last retreat, I wrote it in my retreat journal, which is in this book thing over here, and I'm thinking about it because I'm gonna go into a retreat soon. One of the things I wrote down was that 99% of my grumpiness, if not 100% of my grumpiness, is either caused because I'm having a low blood sugar crash, I'm hungry, or I'm tired. Either I didn't sleep well, which I, for a long time, did not sleep well, like for years, didn't sleep well, or I wasn't eating well and taking care to make sure that my blood sugar stayed even, which I also did for many years, and that most of my kleshas come from that. And so what you put into your body and what kind of exercise you do then becomes bodhisattva activity. Okay, if you're eating crappy food and you're not eating regularly, and if you're not doing some kind of physical exercise, your mind will be dull, okay? And then that fuels the other 83,999 mental afflictions. I mean, I really think like all the war would stop if people got good night's sleep and good food. And maybe we can just take a minute to pray for all the people who are scared tonight. I personally, I have family in Israel, my cousin's in Israel, my niece is in Israel. My cousin has like an 11-year-old kid. And I wrote her on WhatsApp. I said, "Well, how's your kid doing? She must be really scared." And she sent me this video of her 11-year-old. The siren is going off. The get in your safety room, your bomb-proof room siren is going off, and the 11-year-old is just like feeding her fish. She's like in a hallway feeding her fish, and my cousin is like, "No, you need to get in the room now. The siren's going off now. Get in the safe room." And war has just become, it's just normal for them. And it's really like, it's extremely sad that war has become normalized in our world. And like in the US school shootings, I was talking to my friends today, you know, we were talking about school shootings and I was like, I couldn't tell you how many there've been. There've probably been like, what's today, Monday? Well, it's only Monday morning, so probably no school shootings yet this week, but it doesn't even affect us anymore. So, I don't know. We don't always pay, as Buddhists, we don't always pay so much attention to the news, but I really don't pay much attention, but, it's real people being killed out there, and we should think about them and do some prayers for them and some Tonglen because people are scared. People are, just imagine if like, and some of you know, some of you on this call, I know you know what it's like to have fear of war and to know what it's like to hear like buildings exploding in the background. So let's just try today, we can try to pray for all of the people in the world who are dealing with that. And if you're not dealing with it, you can feel very lucky and happy, and rejoice that you're safe. Okay, let's have a drink of water. So, is it a bad deed to have like hatred, or I don't like the word hatred. Is there another word other than hatred? The question is it a bad deed to have hatred towards your mental afflictions? But I don't know that anyone really hates anything. Like a strong dislike. Is there anything with having like a very powerful dislike towards your mental afflictions? Would that be a mental affliction? No, it's like a good thing. Yeah, good. That was a trick question, but I can't trick you guys. No, it's a good thing. It's on your homework. It's a good thing. That's a like a powerful feeling you can use to fuel getting over these kleshas. Okay. Is it possible actually to get over your mental afflictions? Yay, yes. Does it feel like it's impossible to get over your mental afflictions? Yes. If we're being honest people, yes, it does. If we're being dishonest people, no, it's so easy. Okay. Um, so all of our mental afflictions come from ignorance. And this ignorance is a tendency to see things as self-existent. Um, and that ignorance itself, the tendency to see things as self-existent is a misunderstanding. So Master Shanti Davis says that these misunderstandings then are based on misunderstanding the world. So if you can properly understand the world and start interpreting your world correctly, then it would be possible to get rid of your ignorance. And that if you can destroy your ignorance, then you destroy your kleshas from the root. So Master Shantideva would say, like, if your kleshas were caused by some other thing, like God, it would be impossible to get over them. But because they're caused by ignorance, you can just like get over your ignorance and get over your nyonmong. What's nyonmongs? Your negative emotions, yeah. And then Master Shantideva, this is like, it's much easier to explain. I'm going to make it sound super confusing, so you should check the reading. But there's three places that it's possible your nyonmongs are they're called nyonmong hideouts or klesha hideouts. Okay. So one is are your mental afflictions hiding in your perceptions? Like, are they hiding in sight and sound? Like, the question is, where are your mental afflictions hanging out? Okay. Where's the hideout? Like, where's your anger hiding out? Where is your depression hiding out? Okay. So can they hide in objects like colors and shapes and come back and get you? I know it sounds silly. Like my anger is hiding out in the color red. Or my anger is hiding out in the sound of loud chewers at the restaurant, which for me, it does seem like my anger. Jack and I were at a restaurant today. No, not triggers. I mean, the anger itself is the anger living inside of the loud chewer or in the sound of the loud chewing. Which for me, it does seem like it. And I actually literally put headphones on to shut out the sound. But no, the anger itself is not coming from the sound of the chewing or the color of the person's outfit or anything like that, or the sounds you hear. And you can prove that easily because Jack didn't get annoyed by the loud chewing. I was getting annoyed by the loud chewing, but he wasn't, which proves that the irritation does not come from the loud chewing. Okay. And then the real proof is that our hots don't get mental afflictions, but they can see colors and shapes and they can hear sounds, but they don't get mental afflictions. So clearly mental afflictions then don't come from colors and shapes. Okay. If the problem, if like irritation was in the world itself and not in ourselves, then anyone who saw colors and shapes would get kleshas. Okay. So the tendency for anger, irritation, or lust or whatever, it doesn't lie in the outer objects of the senses. Which should be a good way for people to quit smoking cigarettes if they understood that. Maybe. Okay. Can they hide in your sense powers themselves? Like, can the irritation hide in the power of hearing or the power of touch? They say no, because even a person seeing emptiness directly still has eyeballs and ears. And then their third hideaway is the fact that there is no other hideaway for the glaciers. So I don't know, Master Shantideva, about that third one, but he made our list easier to remember. So then the kleshas, then where are they coming from? I mean, this is like kindergarten Buddhism here, but obviously they're coming from us. Okay. I say kindergarten Buddhism, but I'm the girl who had to put her noise canceling headphones on today to block out the sound of the loud chewer. Okay. Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about the six perfections. And then Jack is going to show the wonderful PowerPoint. Has everyone heard of the six perfections? I should say, is there anyone who has not heard of the six perfections? I don't know. Okay. Well, here they are. The Tibetan is Paro tu Chimpa Juk. Everybody say Paro tu Chimpa Juk. What's Juk? Chik, ni, sum, shi, nga, Juk. What's Juk? Very good. Juk is 6. Good, Olga. Good, good. Does anybody know Paro? Say it louder. Perfection, yeah. But paro really means to go to the other side. Like paramita is to go to the other side. Who knows chinpa? Nga kushanagar la chimpayin. You guys know chinpa. Good. Chin is to go. It's past tense for go. It's went. So this is the six went to the other sides, which the Tibetans translated as perfections. Okay. So these six perfections are your like the rest of your Dharma career is perfecting these six perfections. Accomplishing these six perfections. Okay. So let's show them what their six perfections are, along with the stunning visual aids we came up with. Okay, I'm like a 5-year-old, so this anyway. Okay, so the first one is Jimpa. Everybody say Jimpa.
Jimpa,
Jimpa.
jimpa,
Jimpa means sharing, or the old translation you might hear is generosity. And we use Santa Claus because he gives away so many presents. So when you think of Jimpa or the first perfection of giving, you can think of Santa here, and he's like cute, and he has his red and white outfit on, which if you're a Vajrayogini practitioner, I'm sure you know those colors are a coincidence. Coincidence. So he has accomplished giving. Okay, so um, what does it mean to accomplish like the perfection of giving or sharing? Does it mean to give away everything you own? What does it mean?
to understand emptiness of giving, the giver and the receiver.
That's good. Yulia says it's to understand the emptiness of giving. That's nice. But you can understand the emptiness of giving on like a intellectual level and still be super stingy. So it doesn't mean you have to give away everything you own, but probably if you had perfected giving, you would be willing to. What? Well, yeah, giving, that's one type of giving is to give dharma. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. The second perfection is Sultrim.
Okay.
Everybody say Sultrim.
Okay.
So look, AI told me to use Superman here, and apparently he's very moral. I don't really know much about the guy, but I think he doesn't like evil. So he's good. So he's a moral person, and we should all be working to perfect our morality, which is kind of like as a Buddhist. I mean, that's like the bare minimum as a Buddhist is to be a decent human being and to try to avoid hurting other people. And when you do hurt other people, to feel sad about it. I'm lucky that some of my friends I hang out with have very like sweet faces and honest faces. And when I'm a little too New York harsh with my stupid mouth, I can very easily see that I hurt them. And then I immediately feel like bad about it. And I can immediately do a four powers. But we just as Buddhists, we have to be careful with what we do with these and what we do with this and what we do with this and this. Okay. Okay, our next perfection is Supa. It's not Supa, by the way, and it's not Sopa. So I don't want to hear you saying Zopa or Sopa or Supa. You are going to learn to pronounce patience correctly, and it is Supa. And also, Venerable Sunam is not Venerable Sunam. She is Venerable Sunam. We're all going to say her name correctly. Okay, so Supa means patience, and this is the Incredible Hulk. And the Incredible Hulk, has anyone ever seen one of those Avengers movies? Hulk smash. Okay, that's what anger does. Hulk smash. Hulk just smashes everything. Anger smashes everything. Really, okay? Your lack of patience is like the Hulk in that, was it the first Avengers movie or the second Avengers movie where he's like going through New York City and he's destroying everything. And in fact, it is a lack of patience that makes Hulk smash. Okay. So on our Dharma career, it's incredibly important that we Hulk smash our anger. Okay. And we work on this perfection of patience or not getting angry. And it's very hard. It's extremely hard. Okay. Okay. The next one, yay, is called Sundru. Everybody say Sundru. Sundru. Okay, some of you I think have seen or heard of Mary Poppins based on the smiles on your faces. My young friend here has never seen Mary Poppins, and we will be watching it this week because she is amazing. And she has amazing joyful effort. Like she has to get all those kids to do those super annoying jobs. And she's got that spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down song. And she has that clean up your toys song. And she makes everything so fun. And joyful effort is where you have joy in doing good things. So, like, you know, those people where it's like, oh, let's go visit so and so. I know they're lonely. And your friend is like, God, I'll go, but do we really have to? They're such a downer. It's so depressing. And then there's your other friend who's like, yeah, let's go visit them. It'll be so great and so fun. And I can't wait to see their smile, and it'll just be the best day ever. So we want to work on our joyful effort, okay? Good. Okay, the next one, yay, is Samten. And Samten means meditative concentration. And Jack asked me if I could talk about Yoda for a while, and I told him that I could talk about Master Yoda for 2 hours, but we only have 11 minutes left. Master Yoda really could have been like any of the masters of the six perfections. Lavinia is like, yeah, he could have. But we chose him for Samten because of that scene in, is it the second Star Wars movie where like he's showing Luke how to, exactly, he's trying to show Luke, we're like the same person. Or he's trying to show Luke how to make the rock levitate. And Luke is like trying and trying, but Luke can't really do any of it because he has no concentration. And then Master Yoda is like, actually, he's more like, "Hmm." And then he makes the rock, he makes the rock rise, and it's through the power of his concentration. Okay, next. Okay, the last one is Cherub. Everybody say Cherub.
Yeah.
Cherub.
Shepherd.
And no one is going to ever say She-Rab. It's Cherub. Okay, so that's wisdom. And we chose Neo from the Matrix because he can do that thing where he realizes that like everything is coming from him and the whole thing is a simulation. And if he can stop the bullets not by fighting against the guy with the gun, but by kind of understanding where the thing is coming from, and then the bullets just fall down. Okay, so that's Neo, and that's the six perfections. So I think maybe the pictures will help you to get a feeling of what the perfections are. Because really, if you've been coming to Dharma class for a while, then you'll hear about the six perfections again and again, but it can get a little dry and maybe a little like, oh, this again. But if you have an idea of someone, even if they're not real, you have an idea of someone who has that thing, that quality perfected, then, it can give you a little boost to your meditation. So, like I said before, the perfections are a state of mind, okay? Like, especially with the giving, it's a state of mind where you're willing to give everything up for other people. You have a willingness and an openness and a desire, and that's how you get these perfections. And then that's how you perfect the whole world. Okay. The perfections perfectize, that's not a word, but the perfections perfectize the world because of emptiness and karma. And then you have to think about it. But it has something to do with having the willingness to be that kind of person and like the desire to be able to feed every child and stop every war and the desire to see emptiness directly and reach this meditative concentration. And then that desire plants the seeds for these things to happen and for your world to transform. Whenever I finish a class, I always sigh as though I've just like run a marathon. Okay. So we'll talk more about these 6 perfections in the last 2 classes, and I can't believe this went so fast. But we'll talk more about them. And then courses 11 and 12 are continuations of Guide to Bodhisattva's Way of Life, and you can learn more about the book and the rest of the chapters in those courses. And then Geshe Michael, for those of you who don't know, is leading a retreat which is sold out in person, but there is registration available online for the retreat. I think you can register at asianclassicsinstitute.org, and I would encourage everyone to tune in. And I don't teach on the same day that Geshe Michael teaches, so ever. I just have a thing. And so we don't have class Thursday and we don't have class Monday because I won't overlap with him. I guess she'll never overlap with his teachers, so I won't overlap with mine. So unfortunately, we have a 1-week break, but it means that I'm sure you'll all be attending Geshe-la's classes, and you should, at least a few. All of them is best. And I'm sure you will use the time that you're not in this class to catch up on all your readings and homeworks and quizzes and review the notes. I know that all of you will be doing that. I'm sure of it. And then, so we'll meet again a week from Thursday, and then we'll have classes 9 and 10. And then there's a review class where we'll go through everything that we just went through all over again. And you can use it to prepare for your final, which I'm sure everyone on this call will be taking in a prompt manner, so you don't let it drag on for 10 years like I did. Actually, this course I finished this course very quickly, but most of them I let them drag for a while. I do not recommend it. Don't be like me. We have a little time if anyone has any questions about anything. Okay, Lavinia has a question. Can I turn this around? You didn't say yes, but
It's okay, yes.
speak up so they can hear you.
Except for powers. What can we use for our mental affliction to get them weaker, let's say like this, because we cannot get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
At least we achieve nirvana.
Uh-huh.
But just to make them weaker, what can we do? Except for them.
Lavinia asks what she can do aside from the four powers to make her mental afflictions lower, since she can't get rid of all of them until she's an arhat at nirvana. What's wrong with four powers?
No, it's okay with 4 powers. I just wanted to know if I can have a tool or main.
Well, four powers is a good tool. Lavinia said that there's nothing wrong with four powers, but she's interested in having additional tools. So confession is really good, which isn't technically part of four powers. I mean, you're like confessing to the Buddha, but it can be helpful to confess to someone you know who won't let you get away with it, but who also is kind and will laugh at you or laugh with you is good. It's good to learn the Vajrasattva mantra and that meditation. The Jetsongkapa mantra is good. And I'll teach that practice when I get out of retreat in like 6 weeks or 2 months, probably 2 months from now or something. What else? The more you fight the mental afflictions, then the less they come. And the more you just allow them to roll over you and take you down, then the more they will come. And any kind of meditation, like a Mahamudra meditation that you can practice where you and it's not the Mahamudra that I taught, it's a different Mahamudra, but it's where you learn how to sort of step back in your mind and watch the thinker of your thoughts. That doesn't permanently remove them or anything, but it sure does lessen them because it makes your watchfulness much stronger. You get much better at watching the watcher of your mind and watching the thoughts come instead of being enveloped in the thoughts. Usually, like a klesha comes and it's like being taken over by a wave. But if your Mahamudra practice is strong, then you're able to watch it happening. Like you're watching the clouds move in the sky and then they just go, but you don't grasp on to the emotion very strongly, if at all. And then it like the pranic movement of anger comes and then it just keeps going. It doesn't lodge. So Mahamudra meditation is good if you can learn that. And I repeat, it's not the one that I taught that's on YouTube. It's a different form of Mahamudra. Yeah, that's a good question.
I have a question if we have a little time.
Sure.
Can you talk about purification in terms of cleaning up kleshas and the
Nyamongs.
nyamals? Oh, gosh.
Nyamongs. Yeah, no, it's a hard word. Yeah, I think that the person whose name I don't know how to say, Solesha, I think that's what they were also asking. So purification in terms of cleaning up the negative thoughts. Yeah, I mean, you can do a four powers on like actually the activity of losing your temper at someone or being rude to someone. But you can also just do a four powers on the negative emotion itself. Like if you have like an addiction to drugs or something, the feeling of the addiction, or you can purify the seeds for the anger. So, with the emotions, like things cause like things. So I'm just talking about irritation or anger because that's my big one, but maybe we could talk about jealousy, like a feeling of jealousy, or yeah, jealousy seems to be popular. Like you were jealous of someone, which caused you to be more jealous. So in a way, I feel like the emotions are easy to purify because they really could only be caused by the same emotion coming before. And most of us can remember times we were jealous or times we were angry. So you can work on purifying the activity that like, you can work on it, purifying yelling at someone. Sorry, there is a cat. I cannot get through this class without fireworks or a symphony of dogs, or now there is a symphony of cats. I wish you guys could hear it. It's quite amazing. Can you close the door so I can just try to think? Um, I'm sorry. You Okay, so you can try to purify, if you had a moment of anger towards someone, you can purify like the actual activity of losing your temper. You can also work on purifying the feeling of anger that came with losing your temper. And then you can work on purifying the thing that caused you to lose your temper in the first place, which was a previous moment of anger. Okay. So, to be honest, when I'm doing like the four powers or if I'm doing a purification practice, I will like think of it as like a bath for like all my anger for the last year. And then I just imagine it washing out of me. And then I think that's like a powerful way to do it because if you've had a negative emotion once, I'm sure you have had it many, many, many times. And that's why it can feel confusing about how to purify it because we keep having them. So, I would say start with like one of the worst ones. Like if it's anger, what's the worst time you lost your temper? Like what was the worst instance of you losing your temper and try to purify the yelling or the feeling you had and then just keep going from there. And then Cherry, I taught you like the four steps. So finding someone else who has a similar problem, like if it's jealousy, and it's hard to work with other people's mental afflictions because a lot of times our friends don't know they have those mental afflictions, or if they're not, they really are not aware of it, or um, if they if they're not a Buddhist, they're very unaware they have them. But it's like kind of hard to like call your friend and be like, let's talk about your jealousy today. It's like it's a little weird. But you can encourage them to do the opposite. You can encourage someone, you can get on the phone with them and be like, God, I heard the coolest thing happened to so and so. Isn't it great? And you can be an example for someone about how to rejoice you know, or you can try to like take your friend to a restaurant and be an example of patience towards the waiter, or extra kindness to someone who's moving slowly in the grocery store, um, rather than telling your friend they have an anger problem and wouldn't they love to solve it with you? I don't think that would go very well. So if you're going to do like the four steps with this, then you need to be with emotions, then you have to be really skillful about how you're going to do that. But probably the best way to do it is to be a good example and to purposefully every day try a little bit to be a good example to someone about whatever negative emotion you're working on.
So is the four steps the four powers?
Well, remember we did that group with Oren where it was like try
Yeah.
to find someone else who has a similar problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a little different. So find someone who has a similar problem, make a plan for how you're going to help them. Actually actually undertake it, like actually take them out for coffee and be a good example and then rejoice about it. That's four steps. And then four powers. Who remembers four powers? I know it was a long time ago. Refuge. What else? Regret. Yeah. So you
Regret.
take refuge in emptiness. Yeah. Regret. You feel like a sense of shame and consideration for other people that you've done this thing. Like not guilt, but the feeling of like accidentally drinking antifreeze instead of Gatorade and you want to get it out of you. And then restraint, you promise not to do this thing again for a certain amount of time. And I'll tell you guys, the restraint really works because I did something, I'm not telling anyone what I did. I'll confess it to someone else, not on this call. I did something a little shitty last week, that no one will ever find out that I did. And I immediately felt so much shame and consideration about it that I immediately did a 4 powers. And then I put a good amount of time restraint on it, and I haven't done it again. So I could just for myself, thank you, Yulia's applauding. I can tell you the time limit thing, the restraint thing, it's really important and it will stop you from doing it again. Okay. And then the last one is the antidote, right? So the antidote is like, oh, I lost my temper today. I'm gonna make sure that I don't miss any of Geshe Michael's classes this week because I'm sure he'll talk about emptiness, and that's a great, perfect makeup activity. It can be confusing because we have so many numbered lists, and a lot of times the numbers are the same. So I confuse them sometimes too. And that, yeah, Celestia, I think I answered your question about the antidotes for the 20 obscurations. There's antidotes about the blockers for meditation that you can learn in course 3, ACI course 3. They talk about all sorts of antidotes for dullness and sleepiness and agitation and losing the object and stuff like that. Anything else? Okay. Well, I'll miss you guys. Thanks for hanging out. I can't believe this has gone by so fast.
Have a
And
great
my
week.
friends are leaving. Oh yeah, my friends are leaving India tomorrow to go home after finishing our Tibetan
Oh,
studies program. So wish them,
congratulations.
here's 2 of them. Wish them luck on their journeys home. May you not have any
Congratulations.
obstacles. Yeah, they did great. And then we'll see you next week. And if you have questions or anything, I'm available.
Okay.
Okay. Bye bye. Thanks, guys.
Have a good week. Thank you.